Continuation of our June 16th, 2020 Board of County Commissioners meeting. We are going to begin the portion of our agenda, the public hearings. Public hearing number 1 is a legislative public hearing to consider adoption of a comprehensive plan amendment CPA 19-25, Hobe Sound Future Land Use Map, and it will be presented by Ms. Irene Settlemyer. Mr. Merker, she's going to sit there.
Understood.
And just for the record, while Mrs. Settlemyer is getting Settlemyered, let's remind our audience that Commissioner Jenkins is joining us via Zoom, and Commissioner Hetherington is absent today.
Are you going to pull it up, or how's it work? This
Yeah, no,
PowerPoint?
no,
This.
Commissioner Jenkins, can you hear us?
I can.
Fantastic.
Up. Okay. Well, good afternoon, Commissioner. Sorry for the delay. Irene Settlemyer, planner with the Growth Management Department. This is the public hearing. This is the adoption public hearing regarding the amendment of the future land use map to assign the CRA Center and CRA Neighborhood future land use designations in the Hobe Sound CRA. On the screen is a location map showing us where the Hobe Sound CRA is. This public hearing follows the public hearing before the local planning agency on April 2nd and the transmittal public hearing before the Board of County Commissioners on May 5th. Additionally, public meetings were held with the Hobe Sound Neighborhood Advisory Committee and the Community Redevelopment Agency Board. The county has received no comments from the state and regional reviewing agencies who received the proposed amendment in the transmittal package. So on the screen now is the image of on the left is the current future land use map, and on the right is the proposed future land use map. These are images taken from pages 162 and 164 of the agenda materials. The CRA neighborhood, the mocha color, is assigned to the areas that are predominantly residential. The residential future land use designations, including the medium density residential, low density residential, mobile home density, which are the red, the red, medium density, the goldenrod is the low density, and the pink is mobile home, all become the CRA neighborhood. So the neighborhoods with the mobile home future land use that become CRA neighborhood include the Hobe Village, Woodbridge Mobile Home Village Co-op, Seabreeze Mobile Manor Co-op, Hobe Sound Mobile Home Park, Lakeside Mobile Home Co-op, and the lots on Fairchild, Arance, Wagon Trail, and Cactus Trail all become CRA neighborhood. There's one exception on the north side of Church Street. Currently has the mobile home future land use and is assigned the CRA Center. It has no, here it is here, it has no mobile home development on it now. It has a mix of multifamily, residential, commercial, a place of worship, and it's bookended on Dixie Highway and Federal Highway with the general commercial future land use. Because this area represents opportunity for infill development and redevelopment, the proposed future land use map allows for that. That's here. The CRA Center future land use is assigned to land within the mixed-use future land use overlay and land with commercial future land uses where mixed use already is permitted. The general commercial, limited commercial, and commercial office residential, which are the lavender here is general commercial, the violet is limited commercial, and the bluish purple is commercial office residential. They become the CRA center future land use. Additionally, there's land with the medium-density residential future land use here on both sides of Porter Boulevard, which is assigned the CRA Center future land use designation. Properties with the institutional future land uses retain that institutional future land use, such as the library site and the Pine School property. And there's some additional properties that get the institutional future land use designation, such as it's the site where the Civic Center is expanded to include all the property owned by the county. South Martin Regional Utilities building is institutional. All of the property owned by the Pine School is included in the institutional. So public conservation is assigned to that small part of the Nathaniel Reed Hobe Sound National Wildlife Refuge south of Water Street that's in the CRA, gets public conservation. Some pocket parks in the Zeus Park neighborhood get recreational. The estate density future land use is retained for the Shellbridge subdivision. This area is the subject of an approved final site plan, and those 27 acres were platted in 2005, so we thought best to keep the same rules going forward. This small, about 8 acres of high-density residential is part of a 12-acre parcel, and it's governed by a PUD zoning agreement, so that future land use was retained as well. So in closing, in addition to the posted signs and the published advertisement, notice of this public hearing was mailed to more than 2,700 owners of property within the Hobe Sound CRA or within 1,000 feet of the CRA. The Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council interviewed 24 individuals with a particular interest in the Hobe Sound CRA. I've spoken to about 15 property owners who called for more information after they received the notices. The Hobe Sound NAC recommended approval. The local planning agency recommended approval, and the Community Redevelopment Agency Board recommended approval of the adoption of CPA 1925, and staff recommends approval of CPA 1925, the amendment of the future land use map regarding the Hobe Sound CRA. And of course, that's a brief presentation of a more detailed staff analysis. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Ms. Edelmeyer, thank you very much. Questions from my colleagues for staff? Seeing none, I do have 2 requests to speak form. I'm not sure if Mr. Mark Pauls is still here. I'm pretty sure that Mr. Ted Astolfi is here. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome.
Thank you. I'm Ted Astolfi. I'm the CEO of the Economic Council of Martin County, and as I've done at the previous 3 CRA adoption hearings, I'm here again for number 4, which is fantastic that we're to number 4 already, in support of this item and the following one to adopt this new CRA plan. I again commend you for moving through this swiftly and for the help of Dana Little and the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council along with your CRA staff. We've been longtime supporters of CRAs, and this process is getting us to a point where we can actually start to see things develop the way the communities want them to be developed, which is a fantastic thing. And hopefully as we get past this time that we're in now and people start to revitalize these communities, they'll have this plan to go by, and it will make us a lot more resilient and vibrant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else from Mr. Merker, you have some Zoom? Mr. Stokas, do you have any? Thank you.
I would like to have the privilege of submitting a motion to approve this item. It's been a long time coming.
I was heading in that direction for you as the district commissioner. We have a motion by Commissioner Jenkins for staff's recommendation of approval. Mr. Merker, did you say you had anybody on Zoom other than the commissioner? Well, I was going to get to him.
Are you ready?
What?
Are you ready?
Well, I have a motion. I'm ready for a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Just want to make sure you were done.
Commissioner Hurd.
I'm not going to support the motion, in part because the stated purpose of this comprehensive plan amendment is to strengthen the goals, policies, and objectives that encourages infill and redevelopment. I don't believe that this accomplishes that. The CRA boundaries in this case defy understanding. You can see them up there. They're outlined in black, and they're carve-outs that are just opportunistic and not understandable. The entire US 1 corridor is part of it. The size of this is it's the biggest of all of the CRAs. It's 1,024 acres, which is way too big. And I've been saying this to the staff ever since this commission started approving them. Make them a manageable size so that you can actually accomplish what you set out to accomplish. And every time we get an opportunity to make a change, we don't. We keep the same inexact and unhelpful boundaries. It removes critical density transitions. I'm not going to support it.
Thank you very much. Staff, any other comments?
No, Commissioner.
I'd like to also echo thanks to Dana Little and the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, Susan Corris, and our internal staff at the CRA. You guys have been slowly but surely working very methodically through all of these neighborhoods and learning them. I know that you can speak to Palm City as in-depth as you can to Hobe Sound and Jensen and the rest, so I really commend your work. We have a motion by Commissioner Jenkins to accept staff's recommendation of approval, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed?
The motion carries 3-1 with Commissioner Hetherington absent
Thank you.
And me dissenting.
and Commissioner Hurd dissenting. Our next agenda item is public hearing quasi-judicial number 1. Second public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance that establishes Article 12, Division 5, the Hobe Sound Redevelopment Code, and amends the zoning atlas. It will also be presented by, this time a little pivot for Ms. Corrs and Mr. Little. It is quasi-judicial, so let me ask my colleagues if they've had any ex parte communications. Commissioner Hurd?
If I have any, they've been filed.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Jenkins?
I have any that have been filed.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Anything that I have will have been filed.
Thank you, and same with me. If I've had any, they've been filed. If anyone's going to be offering any testimony, please stand to be sworn.
Lower right-hand corner, sorry. Excuse me.
Oh,
Ms. Corrs, please stand. 1 second. Thank you.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the full truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Are there any interveners that were necessary for this? And do you have to submit a copy of the agenda item in your work history? Let the record show that Ms. Corrs is submitting that now. Right there, we have someone for that. I believe that brings us up to date. Any notices of, that were necessary? Please state that verbally.
No, sir.
Thank you. Notices were,
Well, I'm going to,
public notices were.
yes. I'm sorry, I didn't understand
Our
your question.
clerk is asking if they
Yes,
were required, and what is the status of them?
yes. So there were public notices via community signage, advertisement in the newspaper, and 2,771 notices went to residents and businesses within the CRA and 1,000 feet out.
I heard that in the presentation. Do you have
In there.
proof that that happened?
Yes, they're in there. Yes.
Oh. She rarely makes mistakes. We're going to
Sorry.
give you a pass, Mary Kay. Okay, with that, please begin your presentation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Susan Corres, Manager, Office of Community Development. We bring for your consideration today an item that reviews both the proposed Article 12, Division 5, Hobe Sound Redevelopment Code Land Development Regulations, and the proposed amendment of the zoning atlas to assign the Hobe Sound Redevelopment Zoning District. We just went through the agenda being submitted and all of the notices. As Ms. Settlemyer mentioned, the Hobe Sound Neighborhood Advisory Committee, the local planning agency, and the CRA board have all reviewed these proposed LDRs and unanimously voted to recommend them for approval today. The presentation is brought to you by Mr. Dana Little, Urban Design Director of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, and Martin County Growth Management staff is also here to offer any expertise or answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Susan. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Dana Little from Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. Good to see you. Hope you are doing well, Commissioner Jenkins, out there in Zoom land. As Susan and Irene have both mentioned, this is our second public hearing and hopefully hearing for adoption for the land development regulations revisions for the Hobe Sound CRA. Let me see if this works. It's not in advance. Oh, it's got to be plugged in. Thank you very much. This is the second public hearing to consider the adoption of the ordinance that establishes Article 12, Division 5, the Hobe Sound Redevelopment Code, and as Susan said, amends the zoning atlas. As you recall, we kicked this overall effort off back in August of 2018, and since then, on September 24th, the Jensen Beach LDRs and the enabling future land use amendment and the creation of Chapter 18 was adopted. December 17th, the Rio LDRs were adopted, and then on May 5th, coincidentally, the same day that we heard the first public hearing for the Hobe Sound LDRs, Old Palm City was adopted. To this point, we've had 34 public meetings, 18 of which have been evening meetings, and over 105 interviews throughout this entire process. The entire process, which was originally scheduled to be 24 months, as we all know. In fact, we're still on track with Hobe Sound, here being in June of 2020. Unfortunately, for Port Salerno and Golden Gate, we've slid 2 months in the absence of neighborhood advisory committees due to COVID-19, but thanks to Martin County and to your staff for setting up this safe environment, we've been able to get those going. And in fact, we had our first Port Salerno NAC work in progress meeting last week. This is our overall adoption schedule. This is what we call Susan's schedule. Every time we are able to get through a meeting, we get to color the box green. So when you see all of you see how it tracks here, you've got the different CRAs. Here we are at Hobe Sound, hopefully at our final public hearing. Port Salerno, as I said, last week on the 11th, we had, it was the request for approval at the NAC, and we've had our first NAC meeting at Golden Gate. Our target is to finish in October as opposed to the originally scheduled September. Irene touched on some of this. There's really three major components to this overall effort. Number one is to create the CRA Center and CRA Neighborhood future land use designations that you just voted on. And in doing so, we also retain institutional, industrial, and commercial waterfront, et cetera. So we're really focusing on those center and neighborhood areas with the future land use maps. Number two is to eliminate the mixed use overlays. Eliminate the overlays in the future land use in the comprehensive plan, but also in the land development regulation. The overlays have created a great deal of confusion and uncertainty over the years. And finally, as Susan mentioned, to rezone each of the CRA areas to a single category. So for instance, Hobe Sound would become the Hobe Sound CRA zoning district, but within that are all the sub-districts that really get into the details and meat and potatoes, if you will, of the DNA of the place. So Hobe Sound was established back in 2000. The Community Redevelopment Vision Plan was updated in 2009. And we have not made any attempt to change the vision of Hope Sound or of any of the other CRAs, but try to sharpen our tools so that the vision can be implemented. As you know, through this process, we've created Chapter 18, which is the chapter within the comprehensive plan, which is dedicated specifically to the CRAs. And we've created Article 12, which is the article within the Land Development Code that is specific to the CRAs as well. So these two new chapters or articles, if you will, serve as reinforcing companion documents. Chapter 18 was adopted in September of 2019. And as Irene just went through in detail, basically taking the existing future land use map and its overlays and turning it into the proposed and now adopted single future land use map. That future land use map enables the sub-districts in the regulating plan that I'll go over in just a minute. The sub-districts in the regulating plan live in Article 12, which is the LDR component. That was adopted in September of 2019 as well. And what that does is effectively the same thing, is take the existing zoning maps and all of the various categories that apply throughout all of, keep in mind, these zoning categories aren't specific just to the CRAs. They apply countywide. And as well as the zoning overlay, the mixed-use overlay in Hobe Sound, and compress them into this single overlay, the single zoning district. Also retaining public recreation districts, public conservation, service districts 1 and 2, as well as the PUDs that Irene mentioned earlier. The detailed plan, the regulating plan, is what identifies all the sub-districts. In this case, we have core in red, corridor in orange, general in this other sort of orange color. Forgive the colors on the screen. They're not as representative as they should. Railroad corridor, mobile home, multifamily, and detached. These sub-districts are meant to do a few things. Number one, simplify the area, but also reflect what's currently allowed and what's currently on the ground. Commissioner Hurd, you're absolutely right. This is a very large CRA, and it's the only CRA that actually has U.S. Highway 1 frontage. And in many cases, you've got parcels or just a couple of parcels that stretch between Dixie and US 1. So we spent an enormous amount of time going lot by lot, trying to understand what are the appropriate sub-districts going forward, because these are very unique conditions. The core really being focused down here around Bridge Road and what is now the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center. In addition, as you know, the regulating plan also identifies civic sites and locations for retail frontages and places where new streets have been identified in the vision plan. There are a number of civic sites throughout Hobe Sound, so that's something that we wanted to make sure that we could bring to the attention of those that were used in the regulating plan. You'll recall that in Article 12, there are 7 different divisions, Division 1 being the general. That means it applies to all of the other CRAs. So what is a regulating plan? How do we handle permitted uses, et cetera? Division 1 has already been adopted. It went along with Jensen Beach. And in this case, Hobe Sound is Division 5. As you know, Division 2 is Jensen Beach, and then Rio, and then Old Palm City, and then now we're at Division 5 of Hobe Sound. The structure of each one of these is virtually the same. But there's a numbering system and an identification system that makes them unique. And of course, we tailor the detailed regulations for each of the CRA areas, which includes the permitted uses. As you know, we've created use groups in Division 1, which was adopted back in September of 2019. And that enables us to create a permitted use table for each of the CRAs. This is that permitted use table in Hobe Sound, where each of the sub-districts is its own column, and then those use groups that are permitted conveniently have a P next to them, and if there's a dashed line, they're not permitted. And this is a great way, we believe, to quickly assess what's allowed where and which of the sub-districts. Similar to that, we have development standards page within the LDRs, which identifies in detail and a quick synopsis of what are the minimum lot widths or maximum lot widths, what are the minimum lot areas, what are building heights, what are the allowable densities, et cetera. And so this is a quick synopsis of what's allowed in each of the sub-district areas. And as you know, we've taken the tack through all of the CRAs to regulate by building typology. So we have an array of different building types. And then again, per each of the sub-districts, we identify which building type is permitted where. So for instance, in the core sub-district, shop fronts and mixed-use buildings and office buildings are permitted, but single-family all-yard houses and boat barns are not. They simply don't have a place within the area that's the historic sort of downtown of Hobe Sound. As you know, each of the building types has their own plate, if you will, that shows graphically the positioning on their lot, where parking is permitted, what the setbacks are. It's also shown in a tabular fashion, as well as a description of what's the difference between a shop front building and, say, an office building. And we have these detailed plates for all of the different variety of building types that are within the CRAs. In addition to that, we also have the frontage type standards, which are taking the architectural standards to a dimensional level, so that if someone's going to have an arcade, for instance, we know that there's a minimum dimension in terms of the open space or the depth of the arcade that's needed to make it functional and usable. And we go through that with shop fronts and porches, et cetera. Those aren't mandated for multifamily or residential areas, but when you do get into the corridor or the general or the core areas, those properties are expected to pick at least one of these frontage types. Now, since we last met in May, there have been 4 minor updates to the document that we want to bring to your attention. And it's interesting because there are great similarities between the old Palm City, the old Palm City code, and the current Hobe Sound code. They actually worked as siblings in a way, and the way that they were structured. Both of them have architectural standards or architectural styles that are required. There are 4 styles that are required currently in Hobe Sound or in Old Palm City, which include Florida Vernacular, Mediterranean Revival, Anglo-Caribbean, and the Florida Bungalow. What was brought to our attention, though, earlier on in Old Palm City, you remember that we adopted Old Palm City the day that we showed Hobe Sound, that we had our first public hearing for Hobe Sound, that those architectural styles are really not appropriate for industrial development. There are industrial properties in Old Palm City that brought that to our attention. So we added this language in yellow, and I just want to make sure that I bring it to your attention, that industrial development and industrial buildings are exempted from the requirement that one of the 4 architectural styles be used. It would be kind of hard to make an industrial building look like a Florida bungalow. So we thought that was a very reasonable catch by one of the property owners. Also, something that was brought to our attention in Old Palm City, you may recall, is that we had a minimum porch depth of 8 feet. However, the existing minimum was 5 feet, and so we changed it to 5 feet for Old Palm City. It's also 5 feet in Hobe Sound, so we thought we would make it parallel. That's not to say that you cannot have a deeper front porch, but there are some very reasonable, I think, practical reasons why that's the case, particularly on small lots where you don't have water and sanitary sewer. So that's a change that we've made, that this 5-foot minimum be parallel to Old Palm City as well. There was actually a sort of Scrivener's error on our part that was brought to our attention by one of your residents or property owners in Zeus Park, and simply that the conditions are so unique in Hobe Sound that we found ourselves struggling with what uses to put in which of the sub-districts, and not to get too deep into the weeds, but along Dixie Highway, there are many opportunities that exist today where someone is permitted to do a drive-through or a gas station. And normally so we're trying to be very careful about the uses that we were putting into general. So what we did is we put a footnote that limited different building types from being in general unless they were on Federal Highway. But it was brought to our attention that mixed use is currently allowed in this area of Zeus Park, so we removed that footnote. That's a long way of saying that an issue that we had missed was brought to our attention by a property owner, and then we went back and fixed that. And then finally, in the interest of removing some redundancy, we had some language about off-street loading in the parking standards for Hobe Sound, but that issue has already been addressed in Division 1, so it was recommended that we remove that just for clarity's sake. And if there are no questions, or actually, Susan, please.
So before we get to the question portion, I'll just read the recommendation. Staff recommends adoption of the proposed ordinance to, 1, establish Division 5 Hobe Sound Community Redevelopment Code, Article 12, Land Development Regulations, Martin County Code. Number 2, repeal Section 3.263, Article 3, Hobe Sound Community Redevelopment Area, Martin County Land Development Regulations. And number 3, amend the zoning atlas to assign the Hobe Sound Redevelopment Zoning District and other zoning districts for consistency with the future land use map. And we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Little. Thank you, Ms. Corrs. And I know that you've had legal assistance during this process, so I thank our members of the legal department. Any questions for staff from commissioners? Seeing none. Anyone in the public looking to address us on this topic? Also seeing none. I'll throw it to you, Commissioner Jenkins. He's being unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, sir.
Okay. I would like to have the privilege of moving staff's recommendation.
Second.
Thank you very much. I know you've waited a long time to say that. We have a motion by Commissioner Jenkins for staff's recommendations as presented, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed?
The motion carries 3-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting and Commissioner Hetherington absent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you for the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Jenkins, imagine if you had the option, like on Zoom, to just mute your fellow commissioners. You could just push a button and we wouldn't be able to speak.
Yeah.
That's why I'm never going to appear on Zoom. I would never become unmuted. Our next agenda item is public hearing quasi-judicial number 2, Magnolia Ridge of Palm City PUD, P161-004, requesting approval of a planned unit development zoning agreement, including a master and final site plan. It'll be presented by Mr. Matt Staley. It's quasi-judicial, so anyone that is going to offer testimony, please stand. Even the possibility of testimony, please stand to be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you. Commissioner Hurd, do you have any ex parte?
If I have any, they've been filed.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Same if I have them, they're filed.
Commissioner Jenkins?
I have any of them involved.
I did have some, and they have been filed. Mr. Staley, do you have your work history and a copy of the agenda item? I do. Thank you. Does this item require any return receipts?
They were provided at the LPA.
Thank you. Let the record show that. And no one's obviously intervening. I would have heard if someone was intervening, correct?
No.
No interveners. So with that, Mr. Staley, please begin your presentation. You are recognized.
Thank you, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Matt Staley, Senior Planner for Growth Management, and a copy of the full agenda item, staff report, and my work history have been provided. Palm City GA Homes, LLC, has requested a zoning district change from the current RM8 medium-density residential district to the planned unit development district through the Magnolia Ridge of Palm City PUD zoning agreement, including a master and final site plan for the development of residential townhomes for a total of 28 units within 14 two-story buildings, including a community pool, supporting infrastructure, and upland preserve on approximately 3.56 acres. The subject site consists of 2 parcels located on the south side of Southwest Martin Highway, approximately 1,500 feet east of Southwest High Meadow Avenue in Palm City. Included in this application is a request for a certificate of public facilities reservation. The project site has a land use designation of medium-density residential and a zoning of RM8 medium-density residential district. The applicant is seeking flexibility in the zoning development standards through a PUD zoning agreement and is proposing public benefits to offset the modifications to the zoning standards. The policies governing the application will be required to comply with the standards and comprehensive plan policies governing residential development. The project is located within the primary urban services district, proposes a single access via Southwest Martin Highway, and will be serviced by Martin County Utilities for water and wastewater. Development review staff has reviewed this application and finds that it complies with the LDR as detailed within the staff report. Staff recommends approval of this development application as consistent with the guidelines and standards of the applicable comp plan goals, objectives, and policies as implemented in the LDR. There is one revision I wanted to point out that was not captured in the supplemental memo for the in the PUD zoning agreement. Specifically, Exhibit F, Special Condition 14A1. Here, you can see the last sentence says the owner shall apply for and obtain a right-of-way use permit and enter into a right-of-way maintenance agreement prior to be determined. I wanted to show the revised version of that, requesting approval for. So instead of to be determined, requesting to say the owner shall apply and obtain a right-of-way use permit and enter into a right-of-way maintenance agreement prior to the commencement of construction on the subject property. So for clarity there. Oops. Additionally, the applicant has also provided a letter of support from the adjacent property to the east, Palm City Presbyterian Church, in support of the project moving forward, which has been distributed to the commissioners. Let me show you the site plan as well. The application was considered by the local planning agency on June 4th, and the LPA voted 5-0 for recommendation of approval. So with that said, move that the board receive and file the agenda item summary and all of its attachments, including the staff report for the record as Exhibit 1, and move that the board approve the request for the zoning district change from the RM8 medium density residential district to the planned unit development district, and approve the Magnolia Ridge of Palm City PUD zoning agreement with the previously mentioned revisions, including the master and final site plan. And move that the board adopt the resolution approving and accepting the drainage, access, and maintenance easement from Palm City GA Homes LLC and authorize the chairman to execute any documents necessary to complete the transaction. That concludes my presentation. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Staley, thank you very much. We'll begin the questioning from Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, Mr. Staley, I'm looking at the plans, and I'm not seeing any dedicated sidewalks.
There's, I believe, let's see, let me zoom in.
I see driveway aprons that go all the way to the street, to the lanes, the 2 lanes, but I don't see dedicated sidewalks.
I believe the sidewalks are located on the north side.
Right in the middle, you have the word proposed sidewalk to the left now. You have the left, keep going up.
Right.
Left,
Yeah.
right there. You have arrows drawing.
So you've
that.
got essentially the sidewalks connecting
It
across.
says proposed 6-foot sidewalk.
But it's not a dedicated sidewalk, it's concurrent with the driveways. The sidewalks are part of the driveways?
They connect through the driveways.
That's how everyone does. If your driveway runs from your home,
It looks to me like the sidewalks are directly adjacent to the roadways, to the lanes. Am I missing out on that? Am I not seeing something? I'm looking at the key, and the key it's sort of dotted, and it looks to me like it's the same as the driveway.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Cullum, Development Review Administrator for the Public Works Department. If you look on the bottom right corner of the final site plan, it actually shows a typical section of the road right-of-way. There's 2 6-foot sidewalks, one on either side. When they construct the sidewalk, they are required to go through the driveway. So you will have a designated sidewalk through the driveway. It's not depicted on the final site plan, but per our details, the sidewalk will go through the driveway.
And does the sidewalk directly abut the lanes, the travel lanes?
No, there is a 4-foot separation.
Okay.
on
Okay,
there.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And also, this is a PUD, so they've gotten benefits that normally would not be afforded in straight zoning in exchange for public benefits. And I'm not seeing, I see where the public benefits are. They're on page 777. I just don't see what they are. I see where they are, but not what they are.
Yeah.
One of them is a lift station, and it'll also be available to serve future development immediately west of the PUD. It looks like immediately west of the PUD is a stormwater lake, so it doesn't need any capacity for a lift station.
Let me bring up the aerial. If you look here on the aerial, when we referenced immediately west, we were talking about the parcel, I don't know if you can see this over here, that wraps around the retention pond. That's the property that we're referring to. They've come in for some pre-application meetings as far as developing that site. So it's my understanding they've been talking with utilities and sizing that appropriately to accommodate any future development.
Okay, that's not what the language says. The language says, available to serve future development immediately west of the PUD. And immediately west of the PUD is a stormwater lake.
closer to the road, but that section, if you look right there, Commissioner Hurd, that section below the lake, that
does
property
abut,
is
yeah.
an L shape. You know what I mean? That, where he's doing, that goes up like that, so that is officially immediately west. It goes next to and then up and around the lake.
Okay. And also, tell me about these aerating fountains that are supposed to be a public benefit?
Yeah, they've proposed to install 2, and maybe the applicant would like,
I'll save that then.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Seeing none. Applicant's opportunity to make a presentation. Good afternoon and welcome. Please state your name for the record, sir.
My name is Robert Johns. I represent
Can
the
you, you're
applicant.
tall, can you pull that mic up a little bit?
Sorry. Hi, everybody. I'm Robert Johns. I represent the applicant, Palm City GA Homes. First, I just want to say thank you for your time. It's been a long time coming. We looked at this starting in 2017, and when we originally looked at this, we noticed that the parcel was very narrow, and it was not feasible to offer these homes as fee simple conveyance, which is important to us. We believe it's critical so that we can convey the homes to a bigger base of buyers, people that, police officers, nurses, working class, because they can get loans easier if it's fee simple conveyance. So the narrowness of the lot made it a challenge, and it wasn't until 2018, when some of the LDRs were changed that allowed for a 40-foot right-of-way, that we figured out a way to make this work. In order to do that, we noticed that the lots were front to back, very shallow, and in order to do that, make it work, we had to make the individual lots wider because they're shallow. And that led us to designing something that had some setback variances required. So instead of 15 feet between the building, we have 13 feet in the front and 10 feet towards the back of the units. I believe your question was, what was the public benefit in the lake to the west of us? When we originally started the process, we were working with Catherine Riska. She felt that there would be a requirement to improve the quality of the water in the lake, and so we proposed aerating fountains. We actually proposed one fountain, and then over time we realized that the aerating water quality wasn't as big of an issue, so they suggested that we put in 2 fountains. We're proposing 2 fountains that'll be well lit. They'll be 20 feet high and 45 feet in diameter. And in addition, we're going to provide the additional lift station capacity and infrastructure from that lift station, which you can see is on the east side of the property. And we're going to put water and sewer lines all the way over to the western border, just west of the detention pond, so that the applicant, who appears to be interested in buying that property, when they build the residential neighborhood there, they'll have access to our water and sewer.
Is that stormwater lake providing retention for your development?
No.
Okay, thanks.
Couple of Commissioner Smith, any questions? Commissioner Jenkins, any questions for the applicant?
No.
I have had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Johns. This is in my district, actually relatively close to where I live. This property has had a couple of iterations prior to this one. And, you know, it is a piece of property that did create certain challenges for the developer. And I've had the opportunity to study the plan and what the vision is here and his landscaping. And I'm just saying this as, where's Miss Story? I'm just giving this as purely just editorial.
Sure.
It's got a very small frontage on Martin Highway, so it's not going to be, it's more of a thin, deep project. I appreciate the letter from the Palm City Presbyterian, even though most of your property would abut their sort of their side parking lot. I know that you've worked on some landscaping benefits for them as well, and I think this will be a great addition for Palm City and for Martin County. It is the right kind of size and style and price point when it's designed that Martin County residents will like and have desired. So I'm very appreciative that you've stuck with this project for over 3 years. And I'm happy that today, you know, you see that up in front there, that's the finish line, or at least of this project. You still got to build them and sell them, but other than that, you know, that's the easy part.
I'd like to say one more thing if I could. You know, we're not new at this. We do design infill properties, and we understand that, you know, we want a good quality project. One of the things that we did do that was slightly different in terms of the landscaping is we're not going in with the typical Florida palm trees. We're going in with a lot of deciduous trees like magnolias, hollies, myrtles, maples, and oak trees. And we felt that that would be a better fit with the Flatwood Pine Reserve, which you can see is on the west side near the lake. And also we thought it would be a better fit with the large 28-inch diameter specimen slash pine that we preserved on the southwest corner near the retention pond.
Thank you. Yeah, we got a free-for-all. We need to take a break. I got the Bobsies here. Thank you, sir. Any other questions, anybody, for the applicant? Anyone from the public looking to address us on this topic? Seeing none, come back to the board.
Move approval of staff's recommendation.
Thank you so much.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith to accept staff's recommendation, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Hetherington absent. Thank you very much. I look forward to your work. Our next agenda item is being postponed until August 25th, 2020, but we do have to open it up for public comment, so I will announce it. It's public hearing quasi-judicial number 3. FPL Whitetail Solar Energy Center final site plan. It was continued from April 21st, and now it's going to continue to be continued until August 25th. Mr. Walden is here. Do we do the whole process, the quasi-judicial process, in order to open it up?
I think you could just open the public hearing, correct?
Do you have to go through the ex parte and all of the items, or just open it up?
Yes, sir.
I've officially opened this item. If anyone is here from the public, online, email, U.S. mail, to speak onto this topic, I've been waived off. I would entertain a motion to continue it till August 25th.
Move we continue public hearing, quasi-judicial public hearing, item 3 to August 25th.
Second.
Thank you so much. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith to continue this item until August 25th, 2020, seconded by Commissioner Hurd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much. Mr. Walden, excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Really,
Been working
really
on
some
that.
of your best work. Okay, our next item, moving right along, is Departmental Administration, Department 1, Office, oh, he's not here. Are you going to make this, you going to kick it off?
Yep.
You're moving to the dry table?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
I'm moving from the kids' table to the adult table.
I've been to plenty of events where the kids' table is not a soaking wet mess. Office of Management and Budget items which require board approval. It will be, there are 7 items, and it'll be presented until
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Manning arrives by Ms. Taryn Krista.
So the first item is permission to apply for our Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA assistance for firefighters grant for our COVID-19 response. The requested amount is $35,710, which we would need to match $3,571, which would come from Fire Rescue's operating budget. And
Ma'am, before you continue, let me just ask my colleagues, is everybody comfortable with hearing these bundled together, or do they need to be separated out?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Please continue.
number 2 is permission to apply for the FY 2019 Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, or JAG. This is from our Human Services Department. This is with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and this helps us participate and get some additional resources. The grant award is $61,645, and there is no match required by the county. Number 3 is permission to accept the Emergency Management Performance Grant, which is our EMPG COVID-19 Supplemental Grant. This is through the state of the Florida Division of Emergency Management, and this is for $13,648.38. That will help us with some additional technology, equipment, and supplies to meet some mandates that have been passed down to us. Number 4 is permission to accept the Emergency Management Performance Grant, or EMPG. This was a $79,439 grant that enables us, again, to assist with enhanced planning and additional technology and equipment through our Emergency Management Division.
What's the difference between 3 and 4?
3 is, Matt's here. Thank you, Matt.
Sir, please state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, Matt Resch, Fire Rescue Administrator. The third grant is a supplemental grant that was just offered due to the COVID-19 crisis. It was an additional funding from the feds for, as Taryn alluded to, technology, equipment, and supplies.
And 4?
4 is the standard EMPG grant that we get every year, again, for just to enhance emergency management programs, as is number 5, EMPA. Over 50% of the emergency management budget is funded by those 2 grants.
Okay, and then 5?
Number 5 is as Matt said, we do this annually. Every year, we ask for this grant funding for emergency management to assist with their program planning and their projects and their technology and
Yeah,
other expenses.
it covers salaries, it covers, technology for the Emergency Operations Center, replacement equipment, things of that nature.
Do you know what you intend to spend the money on?
3 of the salaries of the planners are covered by the EMPA grant, so it's primarily salaries. And the EMPG grant funds computer replacement and different projects in the Emergency Operations Center.
Okay.
Michelle would be better apt to be more specific as to what it would be used for.
It just seems like these are very, very similar, 4 of them, and they're very vague about what they're going to be used for.
Right.
Well, I think that's because it just falls into their operational budgets. I mean, Jennifer can elaborate a little bit about it, but every year we apply for these. There's a certain amount of their operational activities on a day-to-day basis that qualify for grant funding.
Yes.
And so every year we have to reapply and re-receive these grants.
And did you get?
And one is federal, one is state. The EMPG is a federal, EMPA is state, and then we obviously have our own general fund portion that is used to match the federal grant.
Okay, well, these are all EMPG, so they're all state, right?
One state and 2 are federal.
Okay.
No, I did not talk about that yet.
At the last minute, Matt told me that they made some programmatic changes to these grants, and legal did not have the opportunity to review that, so, before the item came out. So we wanted to just at least take them off the agenda and bring them back next time so that legal has a chance to make sure that the new provisions are okay.
Which ones, Jennifer?
Items,
All 3.
all 3 of them.
At the last minute, last Thursday, the state sent out changes to all 3 contracts. We had already put the grants forward for Sarah's office to review, and unfortunately, there wasn't enough time to have legal to re-review them prior to today's meeting. There's no changes to the funding levels or anything like that, but there's verbiage changes that we definitely want Sarah and her folks to review before you sign it.
Ms. Woods, would we have the ability to approve them? Because we're not seeing that specific language. Can we give you the opportunity to have us approve them based on your
Yes,
approval
sir.
of the changes in
Yes,
language?
sir. That's been done consistently in the
Thank you.
past.
So that's what I'd
it's
like to
okay.
do with that then.
Yes, sir.
And ma'am, if you could state your name for the record now that you're here.
Jennifer Manning, O&B Director.
Thank you. It's me today.
Sorry about it, Chris.
And I don't know about Commissioner Jenkins, but I don't normally like the tardy part.
Okay,
I'm only kidding.
I know.
Please continue. We've just done
Okay, so we,
3, 4, and 5. We're up to number 6.
okay. So item number 6 is permission to accept the Florida Department of Transportation grant for the Airport Operations Center and the Airfield Electrical Vault. And the grant amount is for $3 million. It requires a $600,000 match, which will be provided through the Airport Enterprise Funds. Any questions? Okay, the final item is request to approve the resolution for the FY21 allocations of the Federal Highway MPO funds, and it was approved, and we just need to set up a budget for that.
Thank you very much. Questions of Ms. Manning on these items? Ms. Manning, may I just say that I know you spearhead it, but this is another example of how well our staff does at identifying and getting, and capturing these different grants and all sorts of different advantages for our community. I've many times said that our staff knows how to take $1 and turn it into $3 or $4 or $5, and so
They do.
this is another example. If you just ran a small tally in your head, it's millions of dollars that we were able to bring back to our community, and our staff is savvy enough to be out there and identify them, which is the real first challenge, but then write them in such a way that we're consistently rewarded these grants, and I very much appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
So with that, I'd entertain a motion for staff's recommendation as presented.
Move approval of Department 1.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
Too late there, Commissioner Jenkins. Time delay. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith for staff's recommendation, seconded by Commissioner Hurd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? That motion carries 4 to 0 with Commissioner Heatherington absent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next item is departmental number 2, contracts that meet the threshold for board approval. It will be presented by Christy Brotherton. Ms. Brotherton, welcome. Palm City resident.
Okay, good afternoon. Christy Brotherton, Purchasing Manager. Up for consideration today is our Community Development Block Grant Mitigation Program Management Services Agreement. This is a continuing services contract for grant writing and grants administration. The maximum not to exceed contract value, is $1,250,000. Maximum not to exceed term is 5 years. Staff is recommending contract award to Guardian Community Resource Management Incorporated. Have any questions?
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Thank you.
for your presentation. We have a motion for staff's recommendation of approval by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Hurd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
those opposed? Motion carries 4 to 0 with Commissioner Heatherington absent. Thank you. Our next agenda item is departmental number 3, permission to terminate a memorandum of understanding with the Village of Indiantown for office space at the Indiantown Annex Building. It'll be presented by Ms. Taryn Christie.
Yes, Commissioners, we had, and I've had conversations with the village manager, so he is aware that this item was coming forward, but we were, at the agenda item, you know, when we initially decided, I think when the county initially decided to provide space to the Village of Indiantown, it was with the understanding that at that time they had a limited amount of staff. And so now when you look on their website, they actually have 22 positions listed. And the clerk has shared with me her concerns. She has not had her office out there open because they are not able to stay adequately apart from one another. She's extremely concerned about the safety of her employees out there. So in dialogue, and then on top of that, we were looking at seeing, was there a way that we could modify that facility so that we could accommodate everybody? But given the number of positions that the village now has, we would have to spend over $100,000 to make those renovations. We were looking at moving another entrance, if you will, over just for the clerk and the property appraiser and separating out that front space. But then as we continue to have further conversations with those that are utilizing the facility out there, they only have one restroom. So, and that's for public and for the employees. So we would also have to enhance those facilities in order to be able to adequately serve the amount of public that you would anticipate. So when I went ahead and spoke with the village manager and told him that, you know, we were looking to possibly move forward with getting them to locate to some different space. He communicated to me on Monday that they are bringing to their board 2 parcels for consideration, and once the board approves that, they are ready to begin to put modular units onto those facilities so that they could move. And so I told him that our time frame we were looking at was the end of September, and he indicated to me that he believed that they would be able to do that. And so this is just a modification to that initial interlocal that we had, and I think it's time, and even in the interim, there's space out there that's available, some commercial space or that they could move to if they needed to, but that's why we brought this item forward. We wanted to give everybody adequate time to make accommodations.
Thank you very much. So any questions or comments from Ms. Krista? Ms. Krista, just to reiterate then, you have had a conversation with the Village of Indiantown's manager. This is not going to be a surprise to them or their board. It's not like we're pulling the rug out from underneath them. And obviously, as they continue to develop their governmental entity out there, it's not going to eventually be less than 22. It's going to be more. So
Right.
If they were to exit the space, then our clerk of the court and tax collector and everybody else that's out there goes back to just having adequate space, adequate facilities.
Yes, sir. And the other dynamic, too, is that the clerk of court requires that individuals that are in contact with her information or any of the information that she provides or is collecting, they be what they call CGIS certified. And we have had some instances where individuals possibly could not get that certification. It's more of a, it's a protective of information type certification. And so that has made her uncomfortable as well. Now, the folks who are in her facility, they did go and get CGIS qualified, so that was good, but she's got, a safe there, she's got technology, she's got a lot of things that she feels are, could possibly be compromised without the right individuals there.
I think it makes sense. So with that in mind, Commissioner Jenkins, any questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
Move staff's recommendation.
I'll move for, I'll second.
Thank you. Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Hurd for staff's recommendation, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Hetherington absent.
Yes, and I need to turn it over to Ms. Woods, who has another matter relative to Indiantown.
In connection with, and this is related to the previous agenda item, between our meeting about Big Mound Park and then as well as the termination of the MOU, staff's been looking at all of our interlocal and looking at all the documents that are related to our transactions with the village. And during this review, it was discovered by staff that in the our big interlocal agreement with the village, there's language within that interlocal when we turn the parks over to them that there be a deed restriction in the park, and the language that is in the interlocal agreement, which the village signed and agreed to, was that these park properties would be used for public park and recreational purposes. That was the actual language, and it was discovered that the county deed and the reverter is not that exact language. It says park, recreation, and other uses, which is not what the language in there. And so in the interest, because this is a deed and this is a reverter and this is long-term, it's my recommendation, and I would ask for authority to do a corrective deed to use the actual language in the interlocal agreement, which is what the board agreed to, so we don't have any confusion 15 or 20 years from now. I believe that the village knows what that meant, but the interlocal may fall away, not be obtainable, and this deed is what will remain in the public record. So if I was going to be working in the future, I'd appreciate for the words to be precise. So with that, I'm requesting direction to amend to correct the deed to have the language that the village and the county agreed to.
Thank you. Commissioner Hurd?
Move to allow the county attorney to make corrective language in the deed to reflect the meaning of the meaning of the county and the
Interlocal
village.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
We have a motion. Is that a second from Hobe Sound?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Hurd for allowing our county attorney to negotiate with the Village of Indiantown
It's not a negotiation, we're just going to do a corrective deed to reflect
I
the
apologize, to
language
do a
that's in the
corrective deed,
interlocal.
as was presented, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Heatherington absent. Okay. Our next item is departmental number 4, which is the fiscal year 2021 grants and aids. I feel, as my one-day chair option, that we would postpone this agenda item simply to be respectful of Commissioner Heatherington, who's not here, who might want to participate, Commissioner Jenkins, who is here via Zoom, and then also what we have done in the past. I would recommend that we make this a what do you call it, a preset, so that I know a lot of sometimes members of the community, we had a couple this morning that had come and given public comment. I know that some of them like to participate, so I would request, and Ms. Brotherton is here again. Do you have any specifics, can we have it at our next agenda item? Is it time sensitive?
The next meeting, I'll chime in, the next meeting is July the 14th, is a regular meeting, and Ms. Brotherton will not be here. We do have the following week after that as your budget meetings, which we discussed grants and aids. I don't know if it would make sense to wrap that into one. We usually try to get our budget millage set prior to that.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to cancel Ms. Brotherton's vacation. Seeing no motion. Okay, so I think then, Commissioner Smith, do you have a suggestion?
Yeah, just as a suggestion, if that's cutting it too close in terms of going further out in July, can we not add it to one of our emergency management meetings and notify the grants and aid people that it's going to be on a Friday coming up here shortly, and that will give...
Are you around? I mean, are you here? Yeah, our next Friday meetings, we have, let's see, today's the 16th. We would have this Friday, which is the 19th. We also would have the following Friday, which is the 26th. And then the next Friday is actually the 4th of July holiday, so we're going to schedule the 2nd on Thursday. So if you wanted to look at maybe June 26th, will you be here? Yeah.
So not this Friday, next Friday.
Yeah. And then we can preset it, have our update, and then, oh wait, is Mr. Jenkins, are you going to be here then?
I will not be here. I've got to be in Jacksonville.
So next Friday,
Yeah, well, next Friday is what
the 19th.
That's perfect. That's not next Friday, that's this Friday.
This Friday. Oh, you're right.
Okay, so this Friday.
This Friday.
Is that okay? Is that enough time to give notice?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of them are listening, and a lot of them had Zoomed in this morning.
No, but what about, it's a special meeting, can you add something like that? Do you have to publicly?
Certainly, this is your
This is just
grants
our
and
own
aids.
internal
This
item.
And the
isn't a-
agenda
Not a
hasn't
public
gone
hearing
out.
or anything,
Right,
okay.
and the agenda has not gone out yet, so we can add that.
Thank you. So what we'll do then, with the, everyone in agreement, is we'll move this departmental number for fiscal year 2021 grants and aids to this Friday, June 19th.
Right, and we'll come up with a preset time. I would say probably like 10:30, because usually we're done with our updates by then, and then we've got the mask discussion.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Brotherton. We'll see you on Friday.
Move that we continue item Department 4 till June 19th.
Second.
Or continue, rather.
Thank you very much. We have a motion to continue departmental number 4 till June 19th by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Hurd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries 4-1. Our next agenda item is departmental quasi-judicial growth management. It is request plat approval for Mariner Village Square, Plat 3, PUD M160-012. It'll be presented by Mr. Peter Walden. And since it's quasi-judicial, allow me to ask my colleagues, have you had any ex parte communications, Ms. Commissioner Hurd?
If I have any, they've been filed.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith.
If I haven't either filed.
Commissioner Jenkins.
I have any that have been filed.
Thank you. If I have any, they've been filed. I don't believe I have any. Anyone that's going to be offering any potential testimony, please stand to be sworn in.
swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Mr. Walden, are there any
No receipts
return
required.
receipts? And
No.
how about a copy of your resume and the agenda item?
Yes,
Your
sir.
work history, I guess.
My work history, sure.
Thank you. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon. Peter Walden with the Growth Management Department, and I'd like to say that a copy of the agenda item and my work history has been turned in. This is a request by Ribbon Ventures LLC for the Mariner Village Square plat approval. Okay. Sorry, 1 second here. Ribbon Ventures LLC is requesting plat approval for Mariner Village Square. Mariner Village Square is an existing commercial PUD situated on approximately 20 acres located on the west side of US Highway 1 and the Mariner Sands Drive intersection. The property has a future land use designation of general commercial and has a planned unit development zoning district designation. Included with this application is a request for a certificate of public facilities exemption. The project originally received approval in 1986. A final site plan for Phase 1 was obtained in 1988, and Phase 1 was platted in 1989. The proposed application is a replat of existing platted property to make it consistent with the revised master plan. Plat 1, which incorporates Phase 1, is not included. Plat 2, which incorporated approximately the front half of Mariner Village Square and was approved in 1990, is being replatted along with the incorporation of the rest of Mariner Village Square, resulting in a 4-lot subdivision. The plat will be consistent with the proposed lots created by the master plan and will provide for common area and preserved tracts consistent with the Sixth Amendment of the PUD agreement, master site plan, and Phase 2 final site plans that were approved in February of this year. Development review staff have found the application to be in compliance with all applicable regulations. There are no unresolved land use, site design, or procedural requirement issues associated with this application. Therefore, staff recommends that the board receive and file the agenda item summary and all attachments, including the staff report, for the record as Exhibit 1, and move that the board approve the plat for Mariner Village Square Plat 3 PUD and the contract for construction of required improvements and infrastructure with the accompanying security. That concludes my presentation. Be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Walden, thank you very much. Questions for Mr. Walden from the commission? Seeing none. Mr. Crady, good afternoon. You're representing the applicant, I would assume?
Yes, good afternoon. Morris Crady with Lucido & Associates, here on behalf of the applicant and the owner, Ribbon Ventures. If you recall, we were here...
And you've been sworn in, correct?
I have been sworn in, yes, thank you. We were here in February to get approval of the plat infrastructure that allows the developer owner to complete the infrastructure improvements, which includes the access road and also restoration of wetlands and preserve areas that have been derelict for the past 20 years. We also got approval at that time to start the residential storage building on lot number 2. So the plat had to be updated because of the old plat had to be replatted, and now the reason we're here is to make the plat consistent with the approved master plan and final site plans, and which will allow conveyance of lot 2 to the residential storage developer and owner. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Crady. Questions for the applicant's representative? Seeing none. Anyone from the public looking to address us on this item? Again, seeing none. None from our multimedia sources. With that, I would entertain... I thought you were going to make a comment.
Move staff's recommendation.
Thank you.
Second.
Oh, he beat you to it. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith for staff's recommendation, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? That motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. We have now reached the end of our official agenda. I will entertain any 505 general public comment. None in the room, but Mr. Stokas, you have some, and potentially Mr. Merker. So we'll begin, none for Zoom. Mr. Stokas, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First comment is from Leah Shanley. She writes, the City of Stewart Mayor Mike Meyer, City Manager Mr. Dias, and City Stewart Commissioners demonstrated leadership early in the pandemic outbreak, including wearing masks during all public commission meetings. Their thoughtful consideration for the health and safety of their colleagues and the public served as a model for all residents, and emphasized that the City of Stewart is taking the pandemic very seriously. Martin County Commissioners, on the other hand, have not once worn masks or face coverings during any of their public meetings, despite the recommendations of the CDC. The county's commissioners' lack of action has communicated the opposite message to residents, that the lives of our friends, family, and neighbors are not worth the inconvenience of wearing a mask. Nonetheless, the CDC and other infectious disease scientists highly recommend that all Americans should be wearing face coverings to reduce the spread of highly contagious COVID-19. According to peer-reviewed scientific research published in the prestigious journal Nature, surgical face masks significantly reduce detection of influenza virus RNA in respiratory droplets and coronavirus RNA in aerosols. With a trend toward reduced detection of coronavirus RNA in respiratory droplets, our results indicate that surgical face masks could prevent transmission of human coronaviruses and influenza from symptomatic individuals. Requiring that all food service workers and employees who interact with the public to wear masks is an important first step, but is much more needed. It has also been disheartening to hear commissioners in meeting after meeting favor the mental health of children. No, that's just not appropriate, so we'll skip to the next one. Next comment is from Jade Stanton. She writes, this will be a deciding factor in my vote and many of the votes of my fellow Martin County residents that I've spoken with. We will be voting against anyone who votes to infringe on our rights by forcing us to wear masks when it can impact our health negatively, as stated by many medical professions. Face masks being required isn't mandating someone to wear a mask a breach of our constitutional rights. And what about medical information that refutes to claim a mask will be better for all of us? Long-term drainage solutions, incentivizing flood insurance for these areas is what we want, and share community resources for flood recovery of government resources which can't afford to wait on. Next comment is Jack Simpson. I grew up in this county and went to school in this county. Because of this, I developed critical reasoning skills that are helpful with topics such as the recent surge in COVID-19 cases. It has been proven time and time again that this virus spreads on droplets, which are considerably larger than the virus. This leads to spreading of COVID-19, among other things. To prevent this, anything that blocks the spread of these droplets even slightly, in other words, any facial covering that prevents droplets from leaving the nose and mouth, will slow, if not outright prevent, the transmission of the virus. Similarly, it is important to recall that the impacts of masks continue to be made clear. Places with widespread mask use are seeing lower infection rate than those that do not require it. New York and New Jersey, while once hot spots, have dramatically reduced the spread and eliminated the curve even with the massive policy mistakes made early on. This is crucial because it means that the virus spread can be contained via the simple procedure. Lastly, I would like to direct you to the simple task of weighing your options. If you mandate masks and they work, then you have saved the lives of your family, your peers, and your voting base. If you do not, countless lives will be lost. Even if masks do not work and you mandate them, you have merely inconvenienced people slightly, but not damaged their health. Those that wish to not use masks can go to work in another county if they are so inclined. We have a higher spread in Martin County than in Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade County right now. Nearly 1 out of every 100 people in Martin County has COVID-19 and any associated long-term health impacts that come with it. It is important to also note that these are infections from nearly a week ago, as it takes an average of 5 days for symptoms to show and a day or two to have COVID-19 tests performed and return. The exponential growth at I can't pronounce, I don't know what that word is. With this likely means we are going to see an increase in over 50 cases a day for the next 7 days in Martin County easily. Hospitalizations as well as deaths will rise starkly in about 2 weeks. There is no treatment yet. There is no cure yet. Masks and social distancing are the only chance to get this under control and to save many citizens of Martin County. Please do the right thing. Next comment is from Carol Brennan. Theodore Roosevelt once said, in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. This morning, when you revisited the issue of requiring public adherence to CDC guidelines, including the wearing of facial coverings when social distancing cannot be assured, you did the worst thing. In the midst of a developing public health crisis, as evidenced by an alarming increase in the total number of COVID-19 cases, the percentage of positive cases over the state target of 10%, and the number of hospitalizations that threatens our healthcare workers and medical resources. You failed to agree on any measure that would show your commitment to protecting public health. Yes, the medical community has taken the position that requiring compliance is the right thing. That opinion is shared by many non-medical people as well, as evidenced by your disappointed and angry comments shared on YouTube and social media throughout the morning. But you did appear to find common ground on something that could have shown a commitment by the BOCC to advance common ground. Instead, because you couldn't get all what you wanted, you gave the people of Martin County nothing. Today's county report with data through June 15 added over 70 new cases for a total of 1,296 and 8 hospitalizations, 15 more since the data presented last Friday. What more do you have to wait to see this coming Friday? The situation is urgent. Some have proposed there is no point, no return, after which face masks make little difference. Please do not leave today without doing something. A well-crafted, strong recommendation today could more easily become a requirement if the situation worsens later this week. If that recommendation motivates some people to wear masks or support business owners who are trying to do the right thing, a few more people may be protected. If you decide to consider any recognition of business and restaurants that are not adhering to CDC guidelines, please remember that positive reinforcement has shown to be a more effective method than to change behavior. Also, any exemption should reflect CDC exemptions, recommendations, namely children under the age of 2, anyone who has trouble breathing, is unconscious, incapacitated, or otherwise unable to remove the mask without assistance. Thank you. Next comment. From Kathy Sanford. She writes, I have been watching statistics in the Tri-County, in the Tri-County. Indiantown, with a smaller population, has a rapid growing COVID-19. This small population works and shops in Martin County. Most of the Tri-County is leaning more and more towards masks, which is a good thing, but I don't know about Indiantown. Possibly more medical testing and awareness is needed in this area. The Tri-County needs to come to a curve. I wish the Tri-County could come together on the mask situation. Distancing is as important as well. Thank you for your concern in this matter. And that, Mr. Chair, is all I have for public comment.
Thank you very much. We'll go now to our commissioners for the end of the day comment. Commissioner Hurd?
I'm done.
Commissioner Smith?
I'm all set for that.
Commissioner Jenkins?
All set, thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next meeting is this Friday,
Sure.
June 9th. I apologize.
That's okay.
Ms. Krista.
Earlier today, the board asked us to establish a contact person for the Hope Heights, particularly those residents. Mr. Donaldson would like to take on that role, given the fact that he's interacted with a lot of those residents and knows the area along with Mr. Gorton. So we will be coming up with a contact process or procedure, if you will, and work through that, utilizing Don and his staff for that. So I just wanted to get that out there so you would know.
Fantastic. He is our second in command, our deputy county administrator, so short of yourself, that is as high up the ladder as he can get. Our next meeting is this Friday, June 19th, and my closing comments were, and partly based on one of the comments that Mr. Stokas read. Dr. Brennan is someone that I know and is a friend of mine. I want people to understand that we are trying to navigate our way to something that's reasonable, that we can get a majority of the commissioners to agree upon. I think it goes without saying, but I'll say from my perspective as a representative of Martin County that wearing masks, all of our medical advisors that advise me and tons of emails from doctors that are very well regarded in our own community feel strongly that a mask is a benefit. It is a minor inconvenience with a strong possibility of defense. So I personally would strongly urge people to wear masks, and we will bring the issue up again on Friday to see how we'll do in regards to the numbers and everything else. And Commissioner Jenkins, I wish you a safe trip home.
Just before
And
we
with
leave-
that, we will see you on Friday
Ed,
at,
just
oh, I
before we
apologize,
leave.
Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, Harold, by far, I think so far of all of the backgrounds and general offices that people have been working out of, yours seems to be the most interesting. I don't know if you've been relegated to the garage or if that's just your choice, but it's great to see you, and I'm glad you were with us today.
And we're hoping you'll give us positive news, and well, negatively positive news in the next couple of days.
Yeah. I'm hoping any minute now that I get that message. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, and that we are adjourned.